And why must we work for Capital Homestead? I'm glad you asked that question, because Norman Curley came here fully prepared to answer it. He is a lawyer, economist, and he heads the Center for Economic and Social Justice and Equity Expansion International, a justice-based investment banking and consulting company. He co-authored the book Capital Homesteading for Every Citizen, a national blueprint to grow our economy in ways that everyone can share ownership, profits, and governance power. He is a pioneer in the passage of employee stock ownership plans in our country, and the person who's going to explain how and why capital homesteading is the answer to the economic crisis facing this nation and our world, and they begin with these two projects.
Thank you, Walter, and indeed, these are hard acts to follow. And I hope that I can shed a little bit of light as what is this thing called capital homesteading and what are we here for? I like to articulate it by saying, going back to the founding of this great country, in which this country was supposed to bring equality, freedom, prosperity to all. We know it had an original sin. It put some people into slavery and was barbarous to others. But we have to look, as Lincoln did, to say that America was indeed the last best hope of mankind. And we gathered here together are pioneers to restore the greatness of the American ideals, and we can put aside the past and look to the future. So welcome to the Second American Revolution. This is a revolution based on bringing peace, prosperity, and justice to all. We do think that people must be put first. We have to look beyond political democracy to economic democracy. And as the founders of this country understood, that power follows property. Power follows property. We no longer allow property to be extended over people, but power now follows property over the technologies that were introduced to you, which are really, they are the answer to America's economic energy independence, but in ways in which, as we develop our technologies, everyone can be an owner. We don't point our finger at the people who happen to have power today, at the capitalists or the politicians. We say, rather, we aim at the system and say, how can we correct a system that has concentrated power? How can we pulverize power and spread it out? And that's what capital homesteading is all about. Our nation is suffering from a cancer, and that cancer is the wage system. We have created a nation in which many citizens are wage slaves, welfare slaves, debt slaves, and tax slaves. It's now time to end that. We must bring about a nation where everyone is an owner. We can do this in ways that level the playing field, where everyone can have equal opportunity, not necessarily equal results. I want to just touch lightly on the nature of the problem that occurs within our system. The top 1% of Americans, top 1%, now own more than the bottom 95% combined.
Wow.
Look at income disparity. The average income of the American household, the median household, is about $50,000. Now, if we want to think visually about what that means, just imagine a stack of $100 bills. that stack for a $50,000 median income would be about 2 inches. If we look at a hedge fund operator who last year earned $3.7 billion, for gambling that brought about the kind of gambling that ended up in the credit crisis that the whole world is now encountering. If we look at his, you're talking about roughly 5 miles high of $100 bills. If we look at Bill Gates, one year he had capital gains of $50 billion. That is, $50 billion is 5 times higher than the highest mountain on this earth, Mount Everest. $100 bills stacked up. Now, we're not targeting Bill Gates. Bill Gates under capital homesteading will have the same privilege as every person here. The poorest person in East St. Louis will have the same opportunity as Bill Gates for the future. What is that? If we look at the growth of the economy in recent years has been about $2 trillion of new plant and equipment, new technologies, new rentable space, and new infrastructure. That amounts to about $7,000 per man, woman, and child. Maybe some of you have children or grandchildren who were just born. If a child today were able to go, that is, their parents were able to go to the local bank along with every member of the family, and each one could set up what we call a Capital Homestead account. And they were able to get from this building here, from the regional Federal Reserves, if they were able to get $7,000 a year, and every company that needed new capital, such as rebuilding the auto industries and rebuilding the industries of East St. Louis, if they were each able to invest in a company for which a member of the family worked, or in a utility where they have a regular monthly account, or if they were able to invest in a citizens' land cooperative in order to build the basic infrastructure, or in companies that are investment, quality investment, not speculation, then you would have that child, by the time he would reach age 65, would have accumulated about $500,000 in assets after taxes. That child would have, at age 65, would have had about $50,000 in after-tax dividend incomes to supplement incomes from any other source. We're talking about changing the tax system so that instead of payroll taxes, we would eliminate the payroll tax. We would pay, but we would keep the promises out of general revenues. All income from all sources would be taxed, not like those being proposed so that the rich can avoid paying any tax at all on property incomes or inheritance. No, there would be, the inheritance laws would be changed so that you would encourage Bill Gates to spread out his income and tax the recipients, so that if they have less than say $1 million, you won't tax them. But we want to encourage the super rich to spread their wealth out to the workers who help build their fortunes. And then this child, by the way, from birth until 65, they would have received $1.6 million in dividend incomes over and above their wages. Now, I'm saying that is something we can all get behind. It's a principled approach. It is not destroying the free enterprise system. It is based on a market economy. It's based on private property, and it's based on putting the government where it should be. We want to limit the economic power of government and expand the power of each individual citizen. Power to the people. Thank you very much.
All right. Yes, indeed.